Gold, power, legend. There was once a man whose wealth was so vast, so unimaginable, that even today, no billionaire, no king, no emperor has ever come close. His name, Mansa Musa. But what if I told you that his riches were not just about gold? That the secret behind his wealth was something far greater? This is not just the story of an empire overflowing with gold. This is the story of wisdom, strategy, and a vision that shaped history. To uncover the real secret behind his fortune, we must go back to the Empire of Mali, to a time when Africa was home to the wealthiest ruler the world has ever known. Mansa Musa was not born a king. He was born in 1280 AD in the powerful Mali Empire, a land of great rivers, vast trade routes, and endless wealth. But he was never meant to rule. At that time, the Mali Empire was already a dominant force in West Africa. Its rulers controlled massive trade routes that stretched across the Sahara, connecting Africa to the Middle East and Europe. Beyond trade, the empire was built on a sophisticated system of governance that promoted unity and stability. Mali's throne belonged to Abu Bakr II, a ruler with an obsession, a dream of sailing across the Atlantic Ocean to find new lands. And so, he left. He gathered thousands of ships, filled them with supplies, and vanished into the unknown. He never returned, and in his place, a new king rose, Mansa Musa. In the Mali language, Mansa means king of kings, a title of absolute power. But Mansa Musa was more than just a ruler. He was a visionary, a man who saw Mali not just as a kingdom, but as the center of the world's wealth. But how did Mansa Musa become the richest man in history? The answer lies in the ground beneath his feet. Mali sat on something more valuable than diamonds, more precious than silver, gold. At the time, nearly half of the world's gold supply came from West Africa. And Mali? It was the beating heart of this golden empire. Mansa Musa controlled every ounce of it. He built trade routes, commanded armies, and made Timbuktu a hub of merchants, scholars, and architects. The Sahara Desert, once a barrier, became his highway to fortune. Gold flowed from Mali to the Mediterranean, the Middle East, and Europe. And in return, knowledge, culture, and power flowed back. Mansa Musa established banking systems and controlled supply to stabilize the economy. He built a structured taxation system that allowed the government to maintain control while ensuring that wealth was used for infrastructure, education, and military strength. In 1324, Mansa Musa embarked on a journey that changed history, his legendary pilgrimage to Mecca. But this was no ordinary pilgrimage. He did not travel alone. Mansa Musa took 60,000 men with him, soldiers, slaves, servants, scholars, merchants, and griots. Each of them was dressed in the finest silk and gold. He brought with him hundreds of camels carrying thousands of pounds of pure gold. Everywhere he went, from Egypt to Arabia, he gave away so much gold that the entire economy collapsed. In Cairo, he donated so much gold that the value of gold plummeted for 10 years. Prices soared, markets crashed. The world had never seen such wealth before or after. The world had one question: who is this man? Mansa Musa was no longer just a ruler. He had become a legend. His journey not only demonstrated his immense wealth, but also strengthened Mali's diplomatic ties with the Islamic world. The pilgrimage solidified Mali's status as an influential power in Africa and beyond. While in Mecca, he met with scholars, traders, and rulers, expanding Mali's network of alliances. These connections brought new technologies, educational advancements, and trade opportunities back to Mali. He negotiated trade agreements that brought precious textiles, advanced agricultural techniques, and military innovations into his empire. When Mansa Musa returned, he did not just build an empire of gold, he built a legacy of knowledge. He established great centers of learning, including the famous Sankore University in Timbuktu, where scholars from all over the world came to study. He brought architects from Spain and Egypt to build mosques, palaces, and libraries. He made Mali the intellectual powerhouse of Africa. Timbuktu became one of the greatest cultural and educational capitals in the world. Scholars from Persia, Egypt, and even Europe traveled to Timbuktu to engage in intellectual discourse. The libraries housed hundreds of thousands of manuscripts, many of which remain preserved today. Books became as valuable as gold, and the city became a beacon of enlightenment in Africa. The wealth of knowledge found in Timbuktu's institutions played a pivotal role in shaping African and world history. The scholars of Mali excelled in fields such as astronomy, mathematics, medicine, and theology, influencing future generations far beyond Africa. Mansa Musa was not just a patron of knowledge. He was a strategic leader who understood that true power was built on education and governance. He implemented a structured educational system that allowed children, scholars, and future leaders to access some of the most advanced knowledge of their time. Timbuktu became one of the greatest centers of learning in the world, with travelers and scholars coming from distant lands to study and contribute. Mansa Musa also knew that wealth without security is fragile, so he expanded the military, ensuring that Mali's borders were protected from external threats. He built fortresses along major trade routes and stationed highly trained warriors to safeguard the vast empire. His military reforms included a well-organized cavalry, elite guards, and strategic war formations that allowed Mali to maintain its dominance for decades. His leadership transformed Mali into a well-structured, efficiently run empire, where trade, culture, and education flourished. His diplomacy was just as powerful as his military. He strengthened diplomatic ties, forming alliances with powerful empires such as the Ottoman Empire and the Islamic Caliphates. This ensured Mali's influence extended far beyond its borders. He commissioned roads and trade routes that linked Mali to distant empires, making his kingdom not only a center of commerce, but also of ideas. He established taxation policies that ensured trade remained fair and profitable, preventing economic exploitation by foreign merchants. Mansa Musa's empire was not just about gold, it was about culture and identity. He encouraged the arts, bringing in poets, musicians, and storytellers who would preserve Mali's history for generations to come. His support for music, oral traditions, and craftsmanship allowed Mali's cultural identity to thrive. But as with all great empires, Mali's golden age would not last forever. After Mansa Musa's death in 1337, his successors struggled to maintain the vast wealth and power of the empire. Without his visionary leadership, internal divisions began to weaken the once mighty kingdom. The trade routes that once flowed with gold became contested by rival states. Enemies grew stronger, and the once dominant empire began to fragment into smaller kingdoms. Foreign invaders, jealous of Mali's wealth, sought to exploit its riches. Over time, Mali's dominance weakened as neighboring states, such as the Songhai Empire, rose to power. Internal conflicts, combined with shifting trade routes, led to the empire's gradual decline. By the 16th century, Mali was no longer the formidable power it had once been. However, the impact of Mansa Musa's reign can still be felt today. His contributions to trade, education, governance, and culture cemented his place as one of history's greatest rulers. His vision shaped Mali into an empire that not only accumulated wealth, but also nurtured minds and preserved knowledge. His name is immortalized in history books, not just for his wealth, but for his wisdom, strategy, and leadership. The Mali Empire may have faded, but the institutions Mansa Musa built, the knowledge he spread, and the cultural impact he had continued to influence Africa and the world. His dedication to education, infrastructure, and governance left an imprint that transcends time. Timbuktu's libraries still contain ancient manuscripts, holding the wisdom of a golden era. Today, when we speak of the richest man in history, we do not speak of kings from Europe, sultans from the Middle East, or billionaires from the modern world. We speak of an African emperor, a man who understood that true wealth is not just in gold, but in what you build, in the knowledge you leave behind, and in the lives you change. And that is the real secret behind Mansa Musa's wealth. It was never just about gold, it was about legacy. His influence extended far beyond his reign, inspiring African leaders for generations. His vision of an empire built on trade, knowledge, and culture remains one of the greatest stories of African excellence. If you found this story fascinating, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories from history. What do you think was Mansa Musa's greatest achievement? Let us know in the comments below. See you in the next video.